What's going on, everybody? Thought while we were in the hinterlands, we could go head to Valammar real quick. Clear that out. There's an amulet of power for Varric, a couple mosaic pieces, stuff like that. Level up real quick. This horror here, all by itself, it doesn't seem to do a whole lot. It seems to just kind of disrupt the enemy a little bit. Maybe they look around kind of confused, especially the really low-level enemies, the minions. But I think with the upgrade and the ability to debuff, essentially it served the same purpose as Solus' little fist coming from the sky thing, where essentially he does an AoE debuff on a group of enemies and allows us to get in there and do our thing. Hopefully they'll take more damage and do less damage and whatever else. You know, I'll play around with that skill tree and look at it a little bit deeper as we go along, but I'm seeing it coming in handy. All right, and Blackwall, this line in the sand, this is a little more annoying than what it's worth. It's essentially his way to throw up a wall of ice, kinda, although it may even be a little bit more effective, although it's maybe not quite as large. Although with the upgrade, I think it adds essentially what are like sentries or statues that are set in place and need to be destroyed for the enemies to get past them. But they get in my way too, and in my play style. For those who really love that ability, as far as controlling the battlefield, that's one thing. But I don't really play in tactical mode that much, so setting exactly when and where he puts that, you know, to maybe keep an enemy over there for a little while type of thing. Now, if it was a set of statues that instantly drew the hate and aggro of all the enemies around them, then it would be unfair. Then I would have him spam that all the time. He wouldn't even have to draw hate on himself. He could just draw it to his little, you know, puppet statues that he puts up, for example. But I don't think it has that effect. I think it just kind of stands as a barrier for a short period of time.
Looks like
And
lyrium smuggling would be profitable around here.
yeah, and it gets in my way as much as the enemy, it seems like. And I'm not going to micromanage his control of that. I may deactivate that altogether at some point. I'll play with it for a little bit. Just, you know, I don't have a whole lot of skills to play with in that tree yet anyway. So, you know. But if it gets to the point where it's getting in the way of him throwing challenge and Warcry up and doing what he needs to be doing, then yeah, it's got to go, because it is not worth the stamina or the time that it takes to throw that up there, and the annoyance of that crap getting in my way on the battlefield.
What was it for?
Trade, maybe? Your guess is as good as mine.
All right, and this is just a small taste of the deep roads, what they could do with the deep roads. I'm really hoping for a DLC someday where there is an extensive deep roads expedition or something of that nature. Maybe reconnecting Orzammar with the other Dwarven Kingdom or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I just want to get in the deep roads. It was one of my favorite things in Origins, and it was cool in Dragon Age 2, but in Origins it was awesome, because there was a whole, it was a whole story. It was a main quest line thing, you know. Spend days in Orzammar dealing with their politics and exploring the Darkspawn tunnels and all that stuff. It was awesome. Loved it. So I'm hoping we get some of that here. I'm begging for it. And see, it's essentially a line, and when you get up on it, these statues, for lack of a better word for it, they kind of pop up there, and they don't let you get by until they're, I guess, either destroyed or it times out. And like I say, tactically, it probably serves its purpose, similar to a wall of ice, you know, same type of thing. But yeah, it also, if he ever traps me with that, I can't get out, and I'm cornered with an enemy, and I need to move around and I can't, then that's really going to piss me off. In fact, that only has to really happen once for me to say, yep, no, this isn't ever going up again. And I will deactivate that one. In fact, honestly, I'm probably going to anyway. If he's going to spend his stamina, then Blackwall needs to be spending his stamina on things that benefit the entire party as far as buffing and debuffing goes. Alright, pitch grenade, and my guess would be that this is the only place you can get that. I guess essentially you would have to have a warrior in the party to break that wall for you. Just as other areas, you can only get in like this with a rogue. I pretty much keep one of everything in the party at all times anyway. Unless I just know I'm going into a specific fight where I don't need my rogue, pretty much going to have one all the time. Like we didn't take him with us on the dragon fight, you know, for 2 mages. Now later on, he might come in more handy than an extra mage once he gets all of his stuff up. In his specialist tree, especially down the left side, you have he raises the critical chance of all party members. It's just a passive. It's an extra 5% critical, which is huge, and that justifies him being present at all times, just all by itself, honestly. And then the other side of the tree's got one that you do 10% more damage and 10% longer effects on status effects. And I'm assuming that that's everything from any kind of spell.
How many can we expect to encounter? Blackwall?
It's hard to say. Keep your guard up.
Very good, Blackwell. That was really helpful. Maybe any spell that damages enemies over time, you know, would last longer and do 10% more damage also. So, I mean, that, you know, that's pretty cool. Freezing especially. If an enemy can be frozen 10% longer, it might even be worth picking that one passive where frozen enemies are frozen 25% longer, and then you add another 10% from Varric's skill. You know, just let all that work together, and enemies will stay immobilized and paralyzed for a longer period of time, letting us get in there and do our thing. Just thinking out loud, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like to pick from my followers. See, that's annoying. That's annoying to me. And like I say, I'm not going to micromanage it. It's just something I'm not going to do. So yeah, that's probably going to go. And that's fine. He's got lots of other stuff down that specialist tree. I don't mind spending 1 point on something I'm not going to use to get to 4 or 5 things that I am going to use. And I needed Varric to be up here. I guess he's stuck behind this wall. Alright, now I don't even know where I'm at. I love switching characters and finding your teammate is like all the way across the map somewhere. These Darkspawn archers have some major hit points, man. Seriously. Alright, there's one of the mosaic pieces. Alright, we need 2 gears. That's one of them. Find the other one, of course, behind essentially what's the boss of this area. I think that schematic there is always there. Darkspawn shield schematic, I believe it's always in. I'm not saying you can't find it anywhere else, but I believe you'll always find it here. I don't know, other than appearance, I don't know if it's any better than any other kind of shield. Probably looks pretty cool, I would imagine. If you're trying to roleplay as a Darkspawn, you know, or something. Alright, then we have one of these guys down here. I already know what it's going to be. It's going to be one of these Reaver type guys.
The dark coming up through here.
Someone should do something about that.
Okay, now there's the horror, and he's a bigger enemy, so I guess it doesn't affect him. It doesn't really make him run and scatter type thing or whatever. But if that horror was upgraded, he would be debuffed right now, and I believe he would be taking more damage. I need to go back and read it again, but whatever it does, he would be debuffed that entire time, and so I'm good with that. Anything that can benefit the whole party, that's cool with me, so. I don't know if you noticed the numbers there, but it went from 240, 270 up into the 300s as soon as he was taunted. We were stacking our damage on him between me and Blackwall. Nice. There we go, level up. I can start working on my specialist tree. Pretty soon we'll get to do a level video, you know, covering levels 11 through 15, and I'm really looking forward to that. Start getting into this build. This build is going to start coming into its own, and it's been like that, at least with me, with all the Dragon Ages. Up to a certain point, it's basically just try not to die type thing until you really get a few key skills that really work well with everything else, and the build starts to come into its own, and you start to see really effective stuff. Putting out major damage, being able to survive a little bit longer, the whole team kind of working as a whole. In Dragon Age 2, it really, you could see an overall change in the way battles would turn once you got haste active with, like, Anders, for example. Once he could get haste, your team would just become beast, you know, and from there it would just start getting better. But up to that point, you'd struggle just to get through, you know, say a group of guards or something, or just, you know, a small band of darkspawn would be a hassle. And then you get haste active, and all of a sudden battles would turn in your favor. You know, you could it seems like kill 3 times as many enemies twice as fast, and stuff like that. And so just a few key things here and there that all work with the party really make a huge difference. And so we'll be getting around level 15 on up. We'll start this build to really be coming into its own, and we've done some cool stuff so far. I think we're putting up pretty good numbers and survived through some pretty good fights and things like that. But I expect it to get a whole lot better. If this build turns out like I think it should, we should be putting up rogue numbers with our two-handed warrior. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Okay, if you don't like archers, you won't like this room. Just put it simple as that. Now see, there's that AoE horror. All of these enemies right here would be debuffed right now if that was upgraded. So I'm liking that because it's effective. He casts it quick. He casts it on time. He gets enemies bunched together, it seems. I'm digging that. If Dorian's gonna act like that all the time with that particular spell, then we can roll with it. Most definitely. Sometimes things look good on paper, but when you actually play them out, they don't really work that well. And then vice versa, sometimes other things that don't look like they'd be totally irrelevant are the one thing that just sew your entire party build together. So, you know, almost 2,000 on that critical. Almost. I think that looked like 1,800. These are 1,300 or 1,800, whatever. Decent numbers, if you ask me. Shut up. Shut up and take it. There you go. If you're looking for high ever weave, for some reason these dwarfs here seem to have it too, but almost every darkspawn you kill will drop high ever weave.
They've been watching our movements.
It's kind of a plaid look, I think. Checkered type plaid type deal. That's the appearance it has when you craft items with it, but of course it has a specific property. I think it's more particular to mage, and maybe even rogue clothing. I think. But anyway. If you're looking for it, it's the darkspawn that will drop it for you. It's a history of Darktown. If you played the Dwarven Origin in Origins, then, especially if you play the Dwarven Commoner, then you start in Darktown and you get a whole different side of the story there. And to me, the Dwarven Origin, it was my favorite, personally, because it was so black and white. It was so, I mean, it really showed the entirety of the Dwarven culture. and how the people behave and act and stuff, because you started, it's either a noble or a commoner, and that gulf between the two was extreme. I mean, you were either really rich or either really poor, and the only way to bridge that gap was to find some kind of respect in becoming a, I don't know, some kind of paragon type thing or whatever. But they had a caste system which was pretty set in stone. Get it? No pun intended, set in stone. But, yeah, it was really, really cool. So that gives a little history of Darktown for anyone who hasn't played that. Kind of give you an idea of how it is. It's essentially a criminal underground type of thing. Beggars in the streets, people stuck in a caste that, without some major stroke of good fortune, they're just not going to ever get free from that. They're going to die in squalor type of thing, you know. Beggar in the streets forever unless they want to be part of a criminal group. Basically carrying out hits for the rich people. I mean, essentially, that's all it is, and smuggling. Okay, now, that time horror, okay, they just ran. Okay, so it essentially just takes away their whole attack pattern. They just stop whatever they were doing and run off into a corner. Chasing them isn't going to be fun. I'm going to have to be chasing enemies all the time. But with grappling chain, even that's really not so bad. Yeah, I think I'm liking this. So to share the way my brain is working here, alright, let's say you have horror, and unless I'm totally just tripping here, I believe it said you do a, it lowers the armor rating, right? Or they take more damage for a period of time. Now, I don't know if that's just with the upgrade, or if you have to have one of the passives later on in the tree for that. But whatever the case may be, alright, so let's say they do some more damage, and then you stack that with doing more damage to an enemy being taunted, and then you double that, because I've got 2 warriors in the party, and then you add an extra 10% damage from status effects with, say, Varric, if he's in the party. Or maybe some other kind of buff, if you factor in Cassandra. I think she's got one in her specialist tree where you just do a flat 10% damage all the time. Extra damage, and you take 10% less damage all the time. I don't know if that was so. One of them's a passive, and the other one's, I think, an active ability with her. But whatever the case may be, if you're talking about stacking all of those things, and then I don't know where the ceiling is, you know, the limit for damage you can do. But seems to me all that is going to play together pretty well. I don't really like being in this corner with this dude, considering he's got a pretty big hitbox. That big-ass hammer axe thing he's got. Yeah, whatever, man. Just die, please. There we go. All right. And there's the other mosaic piece. Somewhere in here, there's an amulet of power for Varric. Somewhere in here. I think there's an upgrade for his crossbow, too, come think of it. Nice. Dwarven banner for the Skyhole, the keep. There it is. Alright. Okay, so Bianca Arms 3, I didn't see if that was a schematic for the actual part itself. Doesn't really matter. believe the schematic is for sale anyway. Back at the Skyhole. I think that lady merchant, that Orlesian merchant lady, who's down there, has got a little booth down, was it by the stables? I think she sells it. Maybe wrong, but either her or the guy next to her. And that's it. We're essentially out of here. Actually, this whole little mission I covered on a whole separate video under just random Inquisition stuff, but while we're here doing the Let's Play, figured we'd do it again. Not really sure where to go from here. There's man, there's so many areas to unlock. I'd like to do completionist, but then we're going to be like level 50 in level 15 areas at some point, which, you know, I guess is fine, but I prefer to kind of keep everything leveled, to keep the challenge and the fun there. Don't know if we'll do every side quest and everything. I hate to miss cool stuff, like, you know, I never found this schematic, or I never found that rune pattern, or I never found this or that, and you know, as a result of not looking around and, you know, finding things. It's in doing the side quests where you come across the really cool gear and the amulets of power like we found there and stuff. I mean, we didn't have to do Valammar, but in doing so, we get that, and that's a it's an extra ability point for Varric. So, you know, and then I would hate to think I miss amulets of power for my own character. They've got to be out there somewhere. Seems like I'm the only one who hasn't gotten one yet. So, you know, things like that, and I'm like, you know, it's do everything. This is going to be a 500 video series. This game is friggin' ridiculous. So at some point, drawing a line between being a completionist and being ridiculous, you know. And so I don't know. I'm thinking at least do all the companion stuff. At least, you know, each companion wants you to look around, find certain things, kill certain people, do certain stuff. Do all that, and then do the main quest. I've noticed each map seems to have like a main quest line. One particular thing to do. Deal with a particular kind of enemy, like deal with the Venatori presence in this area. But there'll be side stuff to do too, that you find along the way. Little maps you may find, and little notes you might pick up that tell you to go over here and do this, and it might lead to, you know, another small quest and stuff like that. All right, there we go. That's extra critical chance for the whole party now. And that's a passive. That's just something that's always active, and I'm down with that. And we're going to go down the right side too. Because there's this one right here. Damage bonus and duration bonus for all status effects. And that doesn't play so much in anything I necessarily do. Except for maybe taunt, you know, with my character. But everyone else's should play into that, which I can then feed off of. If you weaken an enemy 10% longer, well, that means I can do more damage to him for 10% longer. That's how I'm looking at it. So as long as everything plays together with everybody, then I'm cool with it. But anyway, so I don't know. We'll just do things as we go, I guess. See what there is to see. Try to keep this somewhat reasonable, but you know, of course, don't want to be cheated out of any of the really good stuff. So I don't know. And we're pretty much done in the hinterlands. I mean, for right now, I don't know if anything else will pop up later in the game. I'm sure there'll be excuses to come back for something, but for right now, I think we pretty much cleared it out.
I've seen bigger castles fall.
So the trainer that we didn't use is still here. Sir was the one that was going to teach us to do the Templar thing.
Gather as many as you can.
If I remember right. And I noticed codexes will pop up as construction goes on, like that. That note on that little scaffolding there.
Something is troubling me, Inquisitor. Leliana is receiving reports of mages becoming possessed, Templars going rogue. No one is dealing with these matters. I was hoping we might, before they get worse.
Right on. And see, this starts her personal thing, just because I talked to her.
We can certainly look into it.
I will mark these incidents on the map as I learn of them, Inquisitor. And I would be pleased to accompany you if and when you investigate.
Right on. And so, you know, that's something we can do for her as we go, gain approval with her and whatever.
That's
Definitely, if
fair.
you're
Another
looking to
time.
her as a romance option, definitely come in handy. Being able to do favors for her because you're going to get major approval. All right, and so we will go on to do other stuff on the next one. And I appreciate you guys watching. If you want to subscribe, hit that button over my head. For more Inquisition, click the top box. And for all my videos, click the bottom box. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.